Ah, there we go. That's live. All right, so this is the very first inaugural Our Oilers podcast with myself, Adam, Arun, and James.
And James, manual switching is
I went a little
awesome.
too fast
Switch to
there, I
the
think.
host.
Anyway, I will be today's host. I think we might rotate hosts throughout the podcast, but basically, what this is going to become is a summary of uh, all things related to Oilers and some general topics around the league from the last little while. Today's podcast probably primarily starting from the draft to today, and I think we're going to start off with introductions. So, Irune, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Arun. If you're from Reddit.com or Edmonton Oilers, you might recognize me as Arunitic5. Been an Oilers fan since '06. Knew about the team beforehand. And I'm attracted to this team for some bizarre reason, even though it's a rather sickly puppy and has been for the past 9 years. Regardless, hopefully things turn around, and I'll turn it over to James.
Hey, I am James Thistle. I live in Edmonton, and I, much like Arun, have a very strong love-hate relationship with the Oilers. 2006 seems like it was like 500 years ago, considering what we've gone through over the last 9 years. But yeah, here we go. We'll see what we can do with this.
And I guess Adam?
And I'm Adam Baiwala. You guys know me as Schweet44722. That's probably not who you were expecting to behind that profile, I'm guessing. Anyway, I grew up. I watched hockey from a young age, but initially watched the Canucks since I lived, or well, Avalanche since I lived in Vancouver. And being a military family, moved a lot. We moved primarily spent most of our time in Alberta, where in 2006, much like Arun and James, I watched the Oilers make the ridiculous run. From there, I became a long-term fan, which has been unfortunate for my health and my liver and everything else involved. But it's, I can't give it up at this point, unfortunately. At this point, yeah, we'll just try out a podcast and see where we go from there. Just love-hate relationship with the Oilers and a bit of knowledge to go around.
All right. It's good to know that everyone has like a commonality in all of this. Apparently, it's the absolute distaste for the Oilers, even though we absolutely love it. Regardless, pod points.
Oh,
Do you want to
right.
start off?
So first one, guys, obviously is the draft. The day we got Big Jesus. What was your initial reaction?
James, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was sitting at home, and I don't know. I was on the couch there, just watching the draft lottery, and it wasn't even something that I thought was even a possibility before. I mean, I know that we had the third best, odds there, 11.5%. So there was a chance, but it wasn't actually something that I actually thought was going to happen. And then when it did happen, I just started screaming like, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" Anyone that really knows me knows that I'm not like a super loud guy, so I don't yell or whatever, get super emotional really easily. But I just started screaming, and I don't know. Like, I went to hang out with a friend of mine later on that night, and we were watching hockey, and then out of nowhere, we would just look at each other, and we'd be like, "Connor McDavid." We wouldn't even say anything else. I mean, I don't know. It just took a long while to sink in, and I don't know. I could go on forever, so you better just stop right now.
Yeah.
Irene, what about you, man?
I'm presenting to everyone. Okay, good. Connor McDavid. I actually didn't see it live. I was feeling really holed up at home, so I went, you know what? I want to go somewhere. And I think what the best part about all of it is that because we got 3 draft picks in the past, 5 years, before this draft,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we just assumed that there would be a god, and he would be a fair god. But this just proves that God hates everyone that's not an Oilers fan.
Yeah.
During the
That's
off-season, apparently. Uh, um, Regardless, I got home, I checked my phone, because that's when I finally get internet, as well as data, and then I just see it, and I start, like, dancing all around the room. So yeah, it's just a moment of nobody saw it coming, just because we've won so many draft lotteries before, and then they changed the format, so then the teams that were later on from the number one, the last place, we get a better chance at it, and yeah, what do you know, it still comes up Oilers.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was perfectly expecting something like the Kings or the Bruins to win. I was just preparing for it. I had my liquor bottle next to me and was sitting there watching it and nervous. I told myself I wouldn't get nervous, and I got nervous anyway. And when it got pulled, like I had to, rewind and rewatch it a few times on DVR because I could not believe it. It was just unbelievable. It was absolutely astonishing. I got more. Well, I guess we're gonna try to keep PG. So I got more text. I get basically hating me for an Oilers fan, and it felt great. I live in Ottawa, so I get a lot of Leafs friends. I have a lot of Ottawa fans friends. They all just basically went F you, and it was glorious.
It was glorious. Yeah.
Of course, there's.
What I liked about it, though, if I may interject, is that it just basically showed that the new draft lottery works. Like, if you tank for the last pick, you're not guaranteed the last pick.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because the Oilers came in last.
I think
not
James
because we were trying to tank, but because we legitimately were an awful
we just suck. James, what were you? So you were saying something there?
No, I was saying before. Like, on one hand, it sucks for Buffalo that they didn't get the first overall draft pick because they're like far and away the worst team in the league, in my opinion. But then on the other hand, I'm like, well, you know what? You guys tanked so badly and so obviously that this is just poetic justice that you don't get the first overall draft pick. So it makes me feel a lot less sorry for them because it was such an obvious tank job. And I hear stories about Pittsburgh tanking for Lemieux back in the 80s, and I'm too young to remember any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But like this is the most obvious form of tanking that I've ever seen in my life. So that's at least a bit bad for Buffalo, to be honest with you.
I think with Buffalo, part of it was that they weren't necessarily tanking for the first overall, but rather tanking for a guaranteed chance at Eichel or McDavid, and that's what they got at the end of the day. Was they have Jack Eichel, who isn't exactly bad, consolation prize. He's one hell of a player. I don't know if you guys have been watching the World Championships. He had a gorgeous assist the other day.
That assist was just beautiful.
Oh man! And then there was McDavid's play the other day. Oh god. Anyway,
Scrub couldn't take the goaltender. I mean, who's gonna go first overall with that attitude?
All right. So we're just gonna move on from there.
Okay.
So how do you guys think this changes things for the Oilers as far as positions and acquisitions moving forward? Off-season chances, who is available, who's not, and then there's factor in the news of O'Connor not going to the Oilers but going to the Senators. What do you think the main priority for the Oilers this off-season will be?
James, you want to start? I have the camera on you.
Yeah, I guess the camera's on me. So
I'll start the next one.
Centers obviously becomes a lot less of an issue. I mean, there's Nuge. Lander really came into his own in the second half of the season, so he'll probably make the team out of camp again. So Nuge, Lander, Gordon is still there. McDavid's obviously going to make the team. He'll probably slide right into the second line. So center's not an issue anymore. Wingers haven't been an issue for a long time. It still, honestly, just boils down to the blue line and the goaltenders. Victor Fast is not coming back. They didn't get Matt O'Connor, as you were saying before, so that leaves Ben Scrivens and his last name, Brossoit, thank you, as the only
Bachman
signed for next year. So Bachman,
I don't see Bachman coming back.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And Fast just never really got his groove with the team, so I don't think he's coming back.
Okay.
Bachman is he's 87, so he's 27 years old, and I think he's a UFA this year. He's 27, so he is a UFA. He's good, but he's not NHL starting material, and frankly, the Oilers need a starter or at least someone who can help Brossoit become a starter, because that's frankly what he is.
I'm going to interject really quickly. I think this is something that's going to become a new issue in the league, and I believe the Sportsnet broadcasters briefly talked about it. And I feel as though we're entering a new age of goaltenders. We're going to stop getting the goaltenders that's going to backstop you all the way to a Stanley Cup final and place most of the regular season. I'm going to see more goaltenders where you have two really good goaltenders, and the coach always just plays whoever's hot, and that's pretty much it. We saw it with Ottawa. We saw it with Anaheim. Like Fredrik Andersen, it just came out of nowhere, to be honest. And they had competition with Gibson, with other goaltenders. And Gibson was highly touted to be the future starting goaltender for Anaheim. And he is still young, but
yeah. I think that's what they tried to do with Scrivens and Faths. I mean, neither of them had really been an undisputed starter before, and I guess they were sort of both brought in to try and grab the reins. I don't know if that's really quite the same sort of thing because neither have been starters, but I see where Craig McTavish was coming from with it, and it just, I don't know, never really worked out.
Adam, do you want to just lead on to the next point then?
Going back to that one real quick, okay. I think the issue is that we see these teams going to the Cup Finals repeatedly. It's the Hawks and the Kings and the Bruins, and well, I guess not this year with the Bruins and not this year with the Kings either. But teams that compete often have a very, very good starting goaltender and a backup who can hold down the fort. I think that's what happened with Ottawa this year. Is we had Leonard go down with concussion and Anderson went down with a hand injury, and Hammond was. I saw him live. He's brutal. He was awful in the AHL, and then these horrible stats, and he comes out of nowhere and wins. He went 21-2 or something like that.
This is ridiculous. Yeah.
And then falls apart in the playoffs. And that's the issue. Is that I think Irene, like you said with the two starting goal or the two goalie format, you still need to have a really good goaltender, like with Talbot and Lundqvist even. I guess we'll see. Anyway, sorry, moving on. Bob Nicholson, basically god of the Oilers at this point. What do you guys think about him having the final say in everything?
I'm gonna start off this one. Bob Nicholson. Okay, this is like the godsend thing that happened for the Oilers, possibly even more influential for the market, known as the Edmonton Oilers, for free agents as well as for trades. Because one of the huge stigmas for the Oilers was that it's a bad place to live, and the management group is just bad. And the one key thing that comes out of all of this, because my glasses are annoying me, is that now it's just a fresh face. Like the people that were there are still there, but they're not in significant places. As well, this puts each person in a place where they can succeed. Like Mac T is no longer going to be dealing with the media 24/7, and that I thought was his biggest flaw.
Oh God.
And so what Bob Nicholson essentially did was that he super influenced the Oilers without having to do anything at all, by just being the fresh face and bringing in another fresh face. I'm not able to read from a distance. I'm leaning in. And it's nothing alike from the previous one, just because it's not someone that was with the Oilers in the past. This is just someone totally new, and has 1.5 years looking after the club, just investigating is what it was called.
Yeah. I think his official investigation per se started in
November.
December. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, James, do you want to take it from there?
Yeah, I mean, not to really echo what Aaron said, but it is really just it's a fresh face, something that gives hope, I guess, for lack of a better word. I mean, in the past, McTavish and Lowe had job security that the rest of us can only dream about. And so to have someone like Bob Nicholson come in and say, this is done, we're bringing in Peter Chiarelli, Kevin Lowe, you're out of hockey ops totally, Craig McTavish, you're demoted. It's something that should have happened years ago, but it doesn't make it feel any less good, in my opinion. It's something that was way overdue, and it just it feels good, and maybe there will be more accountability going forward here with the Oilers. That's what I'm hoping for.
I think the big one for me at this point is that I want transparency, and frankly, because I mean, you go back and you look at Kevin Lowe, and we knew he was he was POHO, but we didn't know what in the hell he did with the organization, and they never really said. And of course, they had that massive biography about him and everything, but he never really described what exactly he did for the organization. And that's what kind of bothered me at that point, is that we don't know what influence he's having. For the last couple of years, I've seen debates all over the subreddit, all over online, where it's debating what Lowe is making decisions. No, Lowe has nothing to do with the organization. It's all McTavish now. Yeah. And we see this with Nicholson, where he says, "No, I'm in charge of everything. I have the final say in everything." Chiarelli is coming in as GM, which traditionally has a role, coaching, hiring, overseas.
GM and POHO.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we definitely have more transparency within the front office, which was obviously non-existent with the old boys.
Sorry, I'm interjecting. For you listeners that don't know, POHO stands for President of Hockey Operations. For those of you that don't know what was happening before, Kevin Lowe was GM for many years, and then he was President of Hockey Relations for many more years. During that time, there were many other GMs that reported to him. So what was originally understood is that Chiarelli accepted the job to be POHO, but he wanted absolute control. So in the sense that the control that he felt he lacked when he was in Boston, that's why, what's his name again? Mac T was kicked out of GM position, and Chiarelli was placed as President of Hockey Operations, as well as the GM position.
James, any final thoughts on that?
James.
No, I was just going to make a joke, totally unrelated to what you said. You had a very good point. I was going to say McTavish got Krugered a couple of years ago.
He did. It's almost
got fired. He was fired, after half a season of experience. It was over Skype, pretty unexpected. And then Edmonton wins the draft lottery, and you read these articles about McTavish, and he watched it from Europe at 2 a.m. on his iPad, and he was dancing out in the hallway with whoever, and then a week later, Chiarelli comes in and cleans house, and McTavish, he got Kruger. It happened to him, and I don't know, just more poetic justice.
What goes around comes around. Sorry. Speaking of that, obviously right after they had, I think it was either Sportsnet or TSN had an interview with McTavish immediately following the draft lottery, where he said, they asked him, "Are you going to trade the draft? Are you going to consider trading it?" He said, "Absolutely. What's less than zero? No chance."
Yeah.
Whereas with Chiarelli, we saw in when they did an interview at in Prague this year, he said that he can never rule anything out. Are you concerned at all that he might actually trade the pick?
I think what you're seeing with that instead is the difference that experienced GMing makes. Mac T says what his heart feels. Sometimes what your heart feels isn't best for business. You gotta say things that are going to be impacting the team properly, not right now, but also 2, 3, 4 months into the future. So just leaving that open leaves a certain amount of uncertainty where teams will be like, are they not? Maybe we should try for something, and then they'll ask for the first overall, and then you can make your way down on the step ladder from there. I have no, I honestly don't believe at all the first overall pick will be traded. Just because the kid, holy cow, from just watching him play, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any chance that the pick gets traded, but as a GM, you got to do your due diligence. You can't say unequivocally that this is not going to be traded. And like you said before, McTavish maybe he shows his cards a little bit too much. About a month ago, he said that he forecasted next year as a development year for the Oilers, and that's a positive thing, and the fans need to hear more than that at this point.
A
decade of unmeaningful hockey. It's been 2006 since we've played meaningful hockey. So
he's almost too honest at that point, going with the whole lip service thing, where it's just, I don't think he didn't want to lip service the fans, but at the same time, you have to lie a little bit. You can't say, next year is going to be shit, or
Yeah, because when you're doing something like that, you're not only talking to fans, you're talking to other GMs, you're talking to people within the organization, you're talking to the players indirectly.
Dealing from a position of weakness, right? Right?
Even when Mac T was coach, like his biggest problem and the what he got him fired is that he threw players under the bus, aka Dustin Lazy Bufflin.
Mm-hmm.
Penner?
Yes.
Good old Pancake.
Penner. I'm the worst. Oh.
I know who you meant.
We got you, don't worry.
Yeah.
Flapjack injury, man. All right, so keeping with the theme, there's obviously a coaching vacancy, or not vacancy so much as a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, we've had confirmed interviews with Nelson and McClellan, who actually showed quite a bit of interest. There's also, of course, Peter DeBoer yesterday, there were rumors coming around that he had talked to the Oilers. I don't know if it's a specific interview so much as that the reports they're saying you've spoken with them. Anyway, who would you prefer as coach, and what do you think of the different coaches being evaluated by the Oilers?
Do I need to stand up and take off my pants? Because I will.
That's an aggressive approach.
That's an aggressive approach. If you understand, I'm talking about the cock, the bab cock.
Yeah. Gotcha.
That option is available because obviously, like he posted out that he was interested, and the Red Wings are allowing other teams to contact him. So without a doubt, Chiarelli is going to. I keep taking off my glasses. I'm sorry. I'm pretty much blind. Chiarelli is going to be exhausting every single option that he has available to him. So all in all, I don't know. I forgot my point. I'm going to pass it on to James.
Babcock is the number one target, 100%. He's well liked by his players. He's well respected among the league. His resume is outstanding. I mean, he's at a crossroads in his career for sure because he's been with Detroit for a decade, maybe even longer than a decade now. But he's the closest thing that the NHL has to a celebrity coach. And he's going to become the highest paid coach in the league. Like, that's already a foregone conclusion. And Detroit can make him the highest paid coach in the league. So they've already made that offer. He's already topping Joel Quenneville from Chicago, I believe, was
$3.5 million or something.
Yeah, and he's still weighing his options. So if you gave me $1 million, I would not bet any of it on Babcock coming to Detroit. I bet you he's gone. That's my personal opinion, and I think that Edmonton better get him because we got McDavid, we got Chiarelli. Let's go get the other All-Star that we need.
Let's get the cock.
Sorry. I don't know why I keep saying sorry. So of the coaches that were actually interviewed, who I'm liking best is honestly Nelson. As well as McClellan is a successful coach in the NHL, the key part of his system is the dump and the chase, and the Oilers are not a good team on the dump and the chase. They don't have the size for the dump and the chase, and they have the speed, but they're easily forced off the puck. So in that sense, I don't know if McClellan is going to be successful with the Oilers. That being said, the strength of a coach comes in how well he's able to adjust to the roster that he has, and he could very much do that. He could make the roster of the small Oilers going really quickly into zone and carrying the puck in work successfully. Adam?
Yeah, I think for me, Babcock's obviously the big fish. There's no doubt about it. But for me, Babcock is kind of like the pick was, where if we get it, I'll be astounded, but I wouldn't be surprised or disappointed if we end up with someone like McClellan or at this point anybody but DeBoer.
Yes.
Particularly like Peter DeBoer. His systems ruin young players, and they rely too heavily on defense and goalies, which we obviously don't have. And for me, I see McClellan, I see issues with McClellan. I'm a huge fan of what he's done with the Sharks. He was obviously really good for a long time with them. But like Arun brought up, the dump and chase, it doesn't really suit the Oilers' style of play at the moment. They
And
might be able
it's
to
not.
adapt.
Sorry, interjecting. That's something that has been noticed in the league in general, is that the dump and chase doesn't work anymore. It's
Yeah.
not good for producing offense. Obviously, the perfect strategy is mixing everything, but the most effective is generally carrying the puck into the zone. The only reason the statistics for dump and chase and the frequency actually for dump and chase and carrying the puck into the zone is very close or equal even, is because when you have the lead, it's better to make the opposing team skate 200 feet instead of just a simple like forcing you off the puck.
Well, do you think that the Babcock system of possession and shutdown defense suits the Oilers better? Because at the same time, you have to look at it where McLellan produces offense. That's what he does, and that's what the Oilers are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we get someone ridiculous in net and pick up I don't know, like Seabrook and Johnny Adoya and whoever else we can. But I think as the issue with McLellan, obviously he couldn't win the playoffs, but
Mm-hmm.
just making it to the playoffs at this point is huge goal. I see an issue with him not being able to adapt very well in the playoffs. Obviously, losing year after year, the Sharks choke. That's an issue with Babcock. He's going to change the Oilers' style of play, but whether that's obviously he has more expertise than we could ever hope to have. So judging him by his record is the best approach, which obviously is good. I mean, he's made the playoffs. I think almost every year he's been with the Wings, which he's been coaching since 2005.
I think he's missed the playoffs once with Anaheim.
I'll actually look that
Like
up.
his very first season, I think it was, and his second season he made it to the Stanley Cup final.
The finals
So-
game with the
Yeah, the
Ducks.
finals game. Yeah.
Yeah, just
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we could just go on. We can go on to the next point. I think this has been like a solid half hour already.
I think we're cutting it close. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go with major roster changes. We've seen obviously McDavid come in, and there's been the progress of Nurse. I don't know if you guys watched the Sioux Erie series, but Nurse was absolutely unreal. He was fast, he was hitting, he was aggressive.
Phenomenal.
He was incredible.
Semi keep up with McDavid. I mean,
Yeah, no, he for the most part shut him down. There was a lot of times where if McDavid was productive on a shift, Nurse wasn't on the ice. He did get caught high a couple of times, but Sioux tends to let him walk in more than he would for the Barons, which you can debate whether or not that's a good thing in the WHL, bad thing in AHL. But aside from that point, we obviously have Clefbaum, Merchant, Nurse. We have Lander, who's been good this year. Miller showed that he was good. There's Yakimov, of course, Yakov's resurgence, and Roy. So what do you do with primarily Derek Roy, but also the wingers? Is there anybody that you could put up for trade for a defenseman that would help the team right now, aside from picking up a UFA?
I totally forgot about Derek Roy when I was listing off centers earlier, because he was pretty responsible for Yakov's resurgence, like you said. I think I would re-sign him for 1 year, and his career is not finished, but it's definitely on the
It's on the decline.
Yeah, I think that he's eager to showcase himself to somebody else so that he can play for them going forward. That would be my pattern of thought anyway. Have a good season and then get traded, and then that's it. And then maybe Draisaitl spends a year in the farm, and that's fine. So he'll come up next year. And I don't know, McDavid, Nuge, Draisaitl, Lander down the middle.
What about Gordon?
Gordon's got 1 year left. I think he's on the decline as well, so I don't know.
Actually, on that point, one thing that I really liked about Mac T is that his contract lengths were, at the time we went oh my god, what is these contract lengths? But they were actually pretty okay. They were, considering what stupid contracts are going around in the league right now, they're pretty decent. But not the point. Roy, 1-2 years, keep it low money, and then just play out the season as it plays out. If he ends up being pushed off the roster, then we'll send him down on waivers.
He
And
might be blamed. Like, there's a
for many teams that's usually what they do. They sign on some extra players, see if they work out, and sometimes their new players are the ones that push them out.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, going back to your point about the contracts. I mean, some of them were good. Some were not good. I mean,
Nikitin, yeah, the contract length for Nikitin was okay, but the money was just
Petrie still pisses me off.
the length.
Yeah.
I've been pretty vocal about that in the sub, and a lot of people have been, they know for the fact that I've there's nothing worse to me than spending 9 goddamn years developing a player and then letting him go because you give him a show me contract when you should be signing him to at least a 3 or 4 year contract because he's your best defenseman on the team at what 26 years of age at that time.
26 at the time, yeah.
A joke. It's a joke to me, and that's a big problem for me. Is that if McTee can't evaluate talent properly, he shouldn't be leading, and that's why he's not.
Yeah, he was.
Now we're backtracking.
Whipping boys, though, man. Holy smokes. Petrie. Who was it before that? Sam Gagner, Dustin Penner.
Gagner was an interesting one because he was producing, but he was kind of that point where it was either the make or break season, and he didn't have a fantastic season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think trading Gagner wasn't the worst thing. He also didn't have a great year with Arizona. I mean, you look at Arcobello. Arcobello was their first center for a long time, for a few weeks. I mean, you could call it tanking, but
I would.
Not necessarily. Arizona was heavily handicapped by basically not having any money. And that's also one of the reasons why I don't think a team in was it in Phoenix?
Vegas. Oh, you mean Arizona?
The Arizona team. Glendale. That's what. In Glendale, Arizona doesn't really work. But hey, like it's better for hockey on the whole in terms of like a future sport.
Yeah,
it's just one of the consequences.
That kid, Austin Watson, is supposed to be the 2016 #1 overall. He's from Phoenix or from Arizona.
Matthews?
Yeah, Austin Matthews. Sorry.
Yeah. And he grew up a fan of the
Coyotes.
Phoenix Coyotes of all teams. Yeah.
Up here in Canada, we can complain about that, but 20 years down the road, it's paid a little bit of dividends. So.
Sorry, Jay. If you could do for me, could you just turn your camera off and turn it back on again? It's just lagging just a little bit from the audio. Regardless, Adam, you want to continue?
Oh, sorry. We kind of went off track there. I mean, we got into shit hockey.
Hey, we're talking about solid content. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're sort of covering like a month's worth of Oilers in what's that now? Approaching an hour. It's an hour now. Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. So we should probably. I'll try to.
We'll just do a quick wrap up of what's happened with the Oilers so far, and then we can talk a little bit about Nurse and McDavid, and then
So sorry, we'll go with I guess the world is. Last topic. Sorry for acquisitions. I'd like to approach is who do you think? We'll just go quick, like 30 seconds max each. Potential your preferred goaltending option and why for the Oilers.
If we hire McClellan, I would like to see Niemi get brought in. There's the familiarity. I think he's instantly an upgrade on Scrivens, and other than that, like for a trade, I guess Corey Crawford. He's got a pretty hefty cap hit, but Scott Darling is pushing him in Chicago, I think. And they're going to be looking to get rid of him sooner than later, so he might be able to be had for less than market value.
Oh, dang it. Okay. I am in the anti-Niemi train, just because I think one of the key reasons the Sharks didn't make the playoffs this season was because of Niemi and his general lackluster play. Like, he had one good season along with one good playoffs, and beyond that, he hasn't really been all that successful. And I guess in terms of a goaltender to approach, maybe someone like just Cam Talbot or something like that. Just a more proven goaltender than Scrivens. Because even when he was in Toronto, Scrivens wasn't considered, like, the only reason he was sort of in contention for the starting job when he was in Toronto was because Reimer wasn't doing all that great. But even then, he was considered a backup to Reimer.
Yeah, 100% he was. Yeah.
Adam?
I think for me, it's Talbot all the way, with reservations being given towards Jones and Gibson, primarily just because they are inexperienced, and we've gone with the whole backup tried being goaltender thing before. It's where Niemi comes in, where he's only had a couple really good seasons, but he's also been average most seasons on a team that, frankly, for a long time was all offense. And until they got Vlasic and a couple of the key components on defense weren't that solid on defense for the Sharks. Whereas we see in New York, the only thing is, of course, New York has a great defense. They scored a crap ton of goals this year. And Talbot is more experienced. He is 27 this year, and he played very well when Lundqvist was out for a long time. He helped New York obviously climb to the first overall in the NHL, win the President's Trophy, and he's proven in my eyes, not necessarily as a starter, but as a goaltender. If we want to roll two goalies, Scrimmins is a great backup. He's not a starter, but he's a good backup, and it's been said over and over. And I think you can roll Talbot and Scrivens for at least a year, maybe sign Scrivens to another year, depending on what Brossoit is doing in the AHL. Otherwise, bring him up next year and have him play backup and then spot between them. And you have a good starting goaltender with behind a team that'll be improving still, but better. And Brossoit, who is probably the future of the franchise.
Is Talbot UFA or?
Sorry?
Or is Talbot UFA or is he?
Talbot is a UFA after.
He's RFA.
No, he's a UFA.
Oh,
after
he's
this
a
coming
UFA.
season.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be. I'll make sure I'm gonna Google that, but.
If he's 27, he should be UFA. So.
Let's see. His contract.
Regardless, while Adam's looking that up, because we're running a little short on time, defensive guys, and for me, it's Sekera, like 110,000%. Sekera isn't necessarily like a number one defenseman, but he's a very good like number two. He can play top pairing minutes, he can chew up minutes, and one of the key reasons that he really flew under the radar for a lot of leading up to his emergence as a top level defender, is the fact that he was playing in Carolina, which most of the time many of us are going, I'm not really sure how Eric Stahl played. Like, he didn't get as many points, but he still got 70. And that in many people's eyes is considered bad. So in that sense, like, I think he's heavily underrated, and I think he can really succeed. Regardless, James?
This is just for defensemen, or?
Defenseman, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Adam, do you have his age?
Yeah, sorry. He is this year. He's on a 1.14. Sorry, he has a 0.513 cap hit, and he's no, Jesus Christ. All right, start that over. He has a 1.45 mil cap hit for for the upcoming season, and he is a UFA in 2016.
UFA in 2016. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and he's 20. He is 27.
Okay.
Really?
James?
I don't know that. One guy I've thought about a little bit. I think he's on the decline a little bit, and maybe he's got a couple more decent seasons. Is Francois Beauchemin out of Anaheim? He's about 35 now, so he's definitely getting a little long in the tooth. But he's coming off. He's never been
phenomenal
flashy.
Season.
Yeah, he's never been flashy, but he's always solid. Just really solid. I've always liked his play. He's coming off of a contract where his cap hit was 3.5 mil, so it's not an albatross number. He's not going to be expecting an albatross number. Whether or not you can convince him to come to Edmonton, though, I think is a bit of an issue, considering that Anaheim is a Stanley Cup contender, and they're well set up for next year and beyond.
Okay.
I personally like Brent Seabrook. He has a lot of experience with the winning crap, I guess you could go with, although I don't really like going with, he wins, so we pick him kind of thing. That doesn't work out well. Ferentz, for example. Anyway, aside from that stupid point, he is a 5 mil cap hit next year, and then he is a UFA. And my only concern with Brent Seabrook and all the good parts of the game he brings is that if we aren't good next year, I don't see him wanting to stick around, especially if he can get a somewhere close to either what he was paid before or slightly lower on a much better team.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think he gets paid 7 to 8 in his 11th, 12 years in the league.
If he goes
Unless
free agency, he can be paid that much.
it's
Some teams will
potential.
get desperate. Yeah.
It's potential, but have to be for a team that has a great upside, but doesn't necessarily have any defense. Which I mean is us. But at the same time, if we go a 10th year without like being basement, which would be pretty hard to do, I don't see him signing here. That's kind of the issue with that one.
Let me fix that for you for the basement comment. 2 words. McConnor McJesus.
That's the answer to everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is
Like,
the answer, yeah.
answered everything. Connor McDavid.
Better, yeah. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, let's move on quickly to these World
Yeah.
World Cup. Hall has been absolutely unreal. He has 8 points in 5 games. Eberle, I think now was it 6 or 7 points? I looked it up earlier and I completely forgot.
He has what? 6 goals? 5 goals?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And they're both playing with Crosby now. McClellan put them with Crosby.
What? They got upgraded? They got
Halfway through the Sweden game, I think it was in the second period. McClellan put them with Crosby, and they went ballistic.
Yeah.
It was
They were
phenomenal.
with Duchesne before.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, with
six-
Duchesne.
The 6 mil cap hit line.
Duchesne's no slouch either, but I mean, if you're getting the opportunity to play with Crosby, then obviously take it. And I don't really know if you guys saw the France game today. It was on at about 6 a.m. or something. But it was like probably the best game that I've seen them play yet. It was like surprisingly close. By best game, I mean most entertaining, of course. But surprisingly close. France was a bunch of divers. They got the hate flowing. I got my adrenaline.
Oh, God.
7 a.m.
So,
I really hope we just get a bunch of GIFs or GIFs or however people pronounce it, of just that dive, just
Roussel.
absolutely mocked.
I posted it on Twitter earlier today. It's awful. It's on Reddit r/hockey. So yeah, on the front page of it today, and it was funny because he dives and then he gets up and he hits in and Duchesne's there, McKinnon is there. I'm not sure exactly who else was there on the ice, but I'm just thinking, like, man, these are NHL players.
Would you call Roussel an NHL player? I mean,
He's a bit of a goon, and by a bit, I mean really pretty much a goon.
the shit. He's up there with. He's starting to annoy me as much as Brad Marchand and Milan Lucic, which I hate the Bruins. So that's quite a bit.
I hate the Bruins too.
I absolutely abhor the Bruins. But anyway, moving on. In the Sweden game, we obviously saw Clefbaum and Lander. Lander's playing 1C for Sweden right now and is doing fairly well. I think he's top 30 in scoring, at least last time I checked he was.
Yeah.
And Clefbaum was playing both shutdown and offensive D against Canada.
Oh, I didn't realize the camera was on me the whole time. I'm sorry. So one of the key things that I want to point out about that Clefbaum one was that, yeah, he was really good in terms of contributing to offense, but one of the major things that led to the Canada comeback was him making mistakes in his own zone. One, he was playing the puck really nonchalantly behind his own net after Hall made that diving play to get it in. And then he gets his pocket picked by Crosby. Crosby fake passes it to Eberle, who lets us through his legs, where Cott scores. Another one, he decides to pass it through, I think it was Couturier or Sagan. And then that's the worst possible decision in that choice, considering he has his defensive partner to his right and a whole sheet of ice in front of him. And he makes the worst possible decision at that point, and that immediately leads to a goal against. So in that sense, I see a lot of inexperience as well as just panic in Clefbaum's games, and that's not all that encouraging for me to see. Regardless, he played well. With Lander, I felt as though we saw both parts of Lander's game. One being he contributes on offense in times when you least expect it, and the other being he fails at contributing in offense when you really need him to contribute in offense. So we saw basically the Oilers in that game. We saw Clefbaum contributing but also missing up. We saw Lander contributing but also not showing up. We saw Hall doing I was about to say shit, and I said shit. Okay, that led to goals that normally in the NHL, with the lack of space that he has, wouldn't succeed. And we saw Eberle being like, "Hey guys, I'm Eberle. I'm just gonna not receive this pass, and then it'll lead to a goal for them." Or for us rather. And yeah, we saw the Oilers, and that was my Sweden highlights.
You sound so surprised with all of this. I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that you said, and it's not a surprise for me anymore. The World Championships, it is a good tournament, but at the same time, I have trouble getting up for it. So
I think the problem with this year is that this is the best team in a long, long time that's been sent. So everybody's kind of expecting them to get gold and expecting them to win. I mean, the USA lost to Belarus for the first time in their history.
well,
And Belarus lost to Russia like 8-0 or 9-0 or something.
It wasn't even close. And then the US barely beat Denmark. I think it was yesterday.
1-0.
Yeah, 1-0. So it was like the Americans, kind of whatever. But a lot of their players are, either taking the time off injured or in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's like the same thing that's a problem for the Oilers. Not the Oilers. I'm sorry. The Team Canada, where because there's players that are not available for them, they have to resort on guys that normally wouldn't, like it would be second pairing or
goaltending.
Pardon?
Goaltending. It's just
goaltending. Yeah. Because Mike Smith is hardly fitting the bill right now, and
He
Martin
still thinks
Jones
he's in
didn't
Arizona.
have any better of an experience against France because he let in 2 goals that he really should have had. But that being said, Canada did
that was
play a
Martin
really good game.
Jones that was in net
Yeah, it
against
was Martin Jones. Yeah.
Martin Jones in net against France. But your point definitely does stand. I would have thought that someone else would come to play for Canada in net, but
if you think about it, though, I mean, the best goalie on the planet right now is Carey Price, regardless of the series going on right now. That's
Yes.
You can't escape that, and he's obviously still playing hockey right now, actually. But yeah, I think with that, we'll move on to the last quick point for the podcast. This one is definitely a lot longer than I think ones we're going to do in the future, mainly because there's been so much that's happened in the last 20 days.
Sorry, I'm going to provide a quick update. 8:30 into the second period, still 1-0 Montreal.
God damn it. Anyway.
I didn't check.
I can check.
I'll let you know soon enough. We'll just go on to the next point.
yeah,
I was going to say, out of the playoffs, out of the teams left in the playoffs, who are you cheering for, and who do you think has the best chance? And Conn Smythe candidate so far.
Okay, when the playoffs started, I was hard on the Winnipeg bandwagon. Obviously, they're on now, but going forward here now, I think Tampa Bay. I'm anti-Montreal, first of all, so that's my strong point for that more than anything. But I do really like Stamkos. I'd like to see him win a cup because he missed out on Sochi. I have a weird obsession with Andrei Vasilevsky. He's not even their starter yet, but I really, really like that kid. And
he got lit up, but yeah, he was.
Yeah, I know. But,
he wasn't the problem.
That's what I'm cheering for now. And my early pick for Conn Smythe is Taves. I think Taves has had a really solid playoff so far.
My God, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm cheering for the Habs.
Boo.
Out of Eastern, yeah, I'm the only one. Whoa. I'd like everyone to also know I am my second team in the West is Vancouver Canucks, so you can hate me now.
Oh God.
Also,
screen for members for this more closely.
I'm gonna be banned from Oilers. Like everyone's gonna be like, I hate this guy. What the hell is he doing? Fuck that guy. Sorry, cheering for the Habs. No other reason. I like PK Subban. In PK Subban, I see everyone goes like, oh, he's a diver, he's turtling, and so on and so forth. But in PK Subban, what I'm seeing is the progression of maturity in an NHL player, where stuff that you see early in his career you don't see now. Sort of like Sidney Crosby, where he would whine all the time to the referees, and now he doesn't. And eventually, like PK always going to have his habits. And one of the things that makes his game so good is the fact that he's always intensely in the game. And that brings his intensity onto the ice in terms of his play, but it also means that he's going to be screaming whenever there's a bad call against him. That being said, other teams, other teams that I'm sort of cheering for is the Blackhawks out in West, and in East just the Habs. And my Conn Smythe favorite early, I have a tie. Silfberg from the Ducks, and what's his name? The Washington Capitals goaltender.
Holtby.
Braden
Holtby, the Holtbeast.
Nice.
So, by the way, the goal scored by Smith Pelly, assisted by Mitchell and drumroll Jeff Goddamn Petrie. So that's a stab in the chest.
Secondary scoring, man. That's good to see, I guess.
Scored last game, got an assist today so far. Yeah. Anyway, for me, screw the Habs. I'm in Ottawa. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't mind Carey Price. I like Carey Price, but
yeah, Carey Price is alright.
By the way, PK Subban did get fined twice this year for diving, which means he got caught at least 3 times. So
I mean,
maturity, yeah.
I mean, like, in all honesty, like, you're comparing 3 to 2 and to 1. It's
what
like
are you talking 3 to 2 to 1.
And that's in what,
fine.
82 games played, whereas the French captain has what, like 10 games played? I don't know, I'm making up excuses. Continue.
There's hundreds of players in the league who are fined every year. Anyway, so I wouldn't mind if the Lightning won. I do like Stamkos as well, like James said, and one of my best friends is in Ottawa is a huge Bolts fan. So I wouldn't mind him watching them win. The other one is the Rangers. I think Lundqvist obviously needs one, and I personally like Girardi. We have family friends who are related to him, and so those two out west. I was going for the Jets at this point, so I don't really care who wins out if anybody wins.
I just wanted them
west.
to win one game, honestly.
Oh God, would be nice.
Jumping in here, I just wanted them to win one game, just one game. That would have been nice, but yeah.
Couldn't Vancouver and Calgary have like somehow tied and then just both got eliminated? That would have been great. Oh. Nope. Calgary's still in somehow, and I still got my family members.
They could have really used that game 8 that the Islanders got.
Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? That reminds me of the Caps. I would not mind watching Ovechkin win a cup because I think it'd be the best offseason ever. It'd be like Gronkowski all over again. It'd be fantastic.
I know. Okay, I feel as though I'm going to get hated for saying this, but I sort of don't want the Caps to win because Washington Capitals fans on our hockey are insufferable sometimes. And that's the only reason why.
Montreal fans are the worst.
Yeah, Montreal fans are horrible.
Game threads.
Why?
I wish there was some kind of app where you could just like not have Bruins fans comments, and Montreal fans comments, and like stuff like that.
That's almost why I don't like a team, because I love Price. I love Subban. Like, those are your marquee guys. Markov has been unreal for years. Max Pacioretty, love him. Jeff Petrie, still got a
best comeback story in Max Pacioretty.
I mean, I like most of their roster. Their fans are just insufferable.
I mean, but if you think about it, our hockey, I mean, half it is what? Bruno and Brutus. I mean,
Bruno is just like, his comments are hilarious. He tries really hard to be funny, and when he is funny, it's wonderful. When he's not, you're just like, eh.
Yeah, okay.
Bruno!
Anyway.
Sorry, let's just wrap up. And,
my Conn Smythe is so far it's the obvious ones, either Tyler Johnson or Braden Holtby for the Caps. I think whoever wins, frankly, is most of the time as it is, gets the Conn Smythe. So I think if it's the Hawk, it's Patrick Kane if he keeps going the way he is. I mean, 6 goals in 5 games, ridiculous. Braden Holtby has been unbelievable. Ovechkin is pretty good as well, but I think if the Bolts win, it's Tyler Johnson. If Caps win, it's Holtby, and if the Hawks pull it out, it's Kane.
I keep not switching the camera. Hold on.
No, don't worry about it.
There we go. There we go.
And
I
think with that'll wrap up the first podcast. I think we went an hour and 15, hour and 20 even.
Yeah, close to it. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
30-minute time limit didn't work out so well. We'll have to work this out better next time.
Yeah, we'll have to be more. With the time limits, yeah. Sure. So I think that's going to wrap it up, though.
Well, thanks for joining us. James, Aaron, and Adam signing off, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that, I guess.
Thanks for listening to us. If you made it this far,
Oh, dear
you
God.
hockey nerds, you. Hopefully, we'll be more focused in the.
We will have a subreddit set up for the podcast itself with discussions, suggestions, and stuff like that. I know, for example, my webcam is a piece of shit, and we're trying to keep cursing to a minimum, but frankly, it's the only way I can describe it because it's just awful. I'm going to try to get that better. I know the switching is a little weird right now. We're all in different parts of the country. I'm in Ottawa. They're in Edmonton. It's obviously a big country. We actually have a fourth member who wasn't unfortunately able to make it today, who will be joining us from Saskatchewan in the future. That's Jensen. He'll be joining us in the future, hopefully later. We'll probably likely be having some.
Sorry, the podcast was actually an idea that
His
he
idea,
started
yeah.
off. So
Yeah. And then from going on here on out, I think we might have some guest appearance, rotating cast. Schedules are a little weird with school and work and everything, so we'll see in the future. However, please join us on the sub for discussion and suggestions.
yeah. And just one quick thing, I'm going to be signing off for a month and a half. I got an exam to write, so you won't be seeing me for a while in my long-winded speakings. Regardless, goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.